What happens when a police chief's son thinks he can do whatever he wants and hurts a 70-year-old war hero? This rude man came to Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom thinking his dad's police badge would keep him safe. But Judge Caprio made his father pick between protecting his son or doing what's right. What happened next became the most famous moment in Providence courtroom history. The young man stood there smiling and told Judge Caprio, "My dad is in charge of this town. You can't do anything to me, old man." Everyone got quiet, but nobody knew that Police Chief Thomas Cole was sitting in the back watching his son ruin everything his dad worked 35 years to build. The choice he was about to make would break hearts, make people believe in fairness again, and show that some dads care more about doing right than protecting their kids when they mess up. Before we get into this amazing story, less than 5 out of 100 people watching have subscribed. If you believe in real fairness, in respecting our soldiers, and in making powerful people follow the rules, click that subscribe button now. This story is going to be shared everywhere, and you don't want to miss what happens. It's a cold November morning at Providence Municipal Court. Judge Frank Caprio is getting ready for what seems like a normal case. Judge Caprio is 76 years old and has seen thousands of cases, but something about this one feels different. The person who got hurt is Robert Martinez, a 70-year-old Vietnam War veteran. The person accused is 32-year-old Derek Cole, son of Police Chief Thomas Cole. The case papers tell a scary story. 3 days ago, Robert Martinez was walking his dog in the park when Derek Cole almost hit him with his fancy BMW car because he was driving too fast. When Martinez put up his hand to tell Derek to slow down, Derek stopped his car, got out, and went after the old veteran. 3 different people saw Derek push Martinez to the ground, making him hit his head on the sidewalk. When people tried to help, Derek said something mean, then he drove away, leaving the 70-year-old veteran bleeding on the ground. Martinez got a concussion, 3 broken ribs, and a broken wrist. He had to stay in the hospital for 2 nights. A security camera caught the whole thing, and when people saw it on the news, everyone in Providence wanted justice. The courtroom is full this morning. News reporters, worried neighbors, groups that help veterans, and people who watch Judge Caprio's cases have all shown up. There's excitement in the room, a feeling that something big is about to happen. But here's what nobody knows yet. Police Chief Thomas Cole is sitting in the back wearing regular clothes with his badge hidden. He hasn't told his son he's there, and the reason why will shock everyone. At exactly 10:30 a.m., someone calls the case. The state of Rhode Island versus Derek Michael Cole, charged with beating up an elderly person. Derek Cole walks in like he owns the place. He's wearing an expensive suit with a fancy watch, and that smile, that mean smile that makes everyone dislike him right away. He doesn't look sorry, he doesn't look worried, he looks annoyed that he even has to be there. Behind him comes his lawyer, Marcus Richardson, one of the most expensive lawyers in Providence who helps rich people get out of trouble. But here's what catches everyone's attention. When Derek walks past Robert Martinez, who's wearing his Vietnam veteran hat and has his broken wrist in a cast, Derek doesn't even look at him. No, I'm sorry, nothing. Judge Caprio looks up from his papers, and his usually kind eyes suddenly turn very cold. He already read about the case, watched the video, and decided this young man is going to learn something today. "Mr. Cole," Judge Caprio starts, his voice calm but strong. "You're accused of beating up an elderly person, Mr. Robert Martinez, a 70-year-old Vietnam veteran. What do you say?" Derek's lawyer jumps up fast. "Your Honor, my client says he didn't do it. We think they got the wrong person," and Judge Caprio holds up his hand. "Lawyer, I asked your client, not you. Mr. Cole, can you speak for yourself?" Derek stands up, and this is where you really see how rude he is. He fixes his suit jacket, looks right at Judge Caprio with that smile still on his face, and says, "Not guilty, Your Honor. This whole thing is stupid." The word stupid hangs in the air like a slap. Judge Caprio slowly takes off his glasses, what he does when he's about to teach someone a lesson. "Stupid?" Judge Caprio repeats. "Mr. Cole, I watched the video, I read the hospital papers, I saw pictures of Mr. Martinez's injuries. Do you want to change your mind about calling this case stupid?" Derek looks at his lawyer, who's trying hard to tell him to be quiet, but Derek's big ego won't let him back down. "Your Honor, with all due respect," Derek says, and everyone knows that when someone says, "with all due respect," disrespect is coming. This is being made into a bigger deal than it is. Some old guy got in my way. I barely touched him, and now I'm being brought to court like a criminal." People in the courtroom gasped. Did he just call a Vietnam veteran some old guy? Did he say he barely touched him when the man spent 2 nights in the hospital? Judge Caprio puts down his glasses very carefully. His jaw gets tight. People who watch his show know this look. This is Judge Caprio when his kindness has run out and justice is about to happen. "Mr. Cole," Judge Caprio says, his voice still calm but very serious. "Before we go on, I want to understand something. Do you know who Mr. Martinez is?" Derek shrugs. "Some guy who was in my way." The disrespect is obvious. Robert Martinez, sitting in the courtroom, doesn't react. He sits with quiet dignity from a lifetime of service, but his fellow veterans are clearly angry. Judge Caprio stands up from his desk and walks around to the front. This is rare. It means something big is about to happen. "Mr. Martinez," Judge Caprio says, looking at the elderly veteran, "would you please stand and tell Mr. Cole who you are?" Robert Martinez slowly stands up, using his good arm to help himself. "Your Honor, my name is Robert Martinez. I was in the United States Marine Corps from 1968 to 1971. I went to Vietnam twice. I got the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star for being brave. I was a firefighter in Providence for many years. I've lived in this city for 50 years. And 3 days ago, this man," he points toward Derek without looking at him, "beat me up for no reason except I asked him to slow down in a park." The courtroom is completely silent. Judge Caprio nods respectfully to Martinez, who sits back down. Now Judge Caprio turns back to Derek. "Mr. Cole, do you understand what you just heard?" "You beat up a decorated war hero, a man who risked his life for our country, a man who spent 30 years running into burning buildings to save people, and you called him some old guy who got in your way." Derek's smile is fading, but he's still acting tough. "Your Honor, I didn't know he was a veteran. How was I supposed to know?" Judge Caprio's answer is quick and powerful. "Mr. Cole, it shouldn't matter if he's a veteran or not. Beating someone up is wrong no matter what. But the fact that you think it would only matter if you knew he was a hero tells me everything about who you are. But guys, before I tell you what Judge Caprio does next, I need you to do something. In the comments, tell me, have you or someone you love ever been treated badly because of their age? Have you seen young people be mean to older people? Share your story, because this is about more than one case. This is about respect, dignity, and how we treat people who came before us. Derek's lawyer jumps in, trying to fix things. "Your Honor, my client is young and said the wrong thing, but the evidence will show—" "Evidence?" Judge Caprio interrupts. "Lawyer, I've seen the evidence. In fact, let's watch it together." He signals to someone who starts playing the security camera video on the courtroom screen. Everyone watches quietly as the video shows exactly what happened. Derek's BMW speeding through the park, almost hitting Martinez, the veteran raising his hand. Derek slamming on his brakes, getting out and violently pushing the 70-year-old man to the ground. The video is clear. You can't deny what happened. And Derek's actions after: standing over Martinez, pointing and yelling at him, then casually getting back in his car and driving away. It's really bad. When the video ends, Judge Caprio looks at Derek. "Still think this is stupid, Mr. Cole?" Derek's face has gone pale. His lawyer is whispering urgently in his ear, but Derek's ego, that bad mix of privilege and rudeness, won't let him completely back down. "Your Honor," Derek says, his voice shaky now, "I was having a bad day. I'd just gotten some bad news. I wasn't thinking clearly." Judge Caprio's eyes narrow. "A bad day, Mr. Cole? I've been a judge for over 30 years. I've seen people who lost their jobs, their homes, their children come before me. You know what they don't do? Beat up elderly veterans because they're having a bad day." The judge walks closer to Derek. "Let me tell you what I think happened, Mr. Cole. I think you've spent your whole life believing you're special. I think your father, being police chief, has protected you from getting in trouble. I think you've never had to face consequences for your actions, and I think you walked into my courtroom today expecting that to continue." Derek tries to interrupt, but Judge Caprio holds up his hand. "I'm not finished. You see, Mr. Cole, I've dealt with people like you before, people who think their last name, their father's job, their family's money makes them untouchable. But here's what you're about to learn. In my courtroom, none of that matters. What matters is the law. What matters is fairness. What matters is treating every person with dignity and respect. Now the story takes a turn that nobody sees coming. Judge Caprio pauses, looks toward the back, and says something that makes Derek's blood run cold. "Chief Cole," Judge Caprio calls out, would you please come forward?" The whole courtroom turns around. Sitting in the back row, slowly standing up, is Police Chief Thomas Cole. He's been there the whole time. He heard everything his son said. He watched his son show no remorse, and the look on his face. It's not anger, it's heartbreak. Derek spins around, and for the first time his rudeness completely breaks. "Dad, what are you doing here?" Chief Cole walks down the center aisle. Each step is heavy with 35 years of being a police officer. He's in his late 50s with gray hair, wearing a simple shirt and pants. No uniform, no badge, just a father watching his son destroy everything he taught him. Judge Caprio speaks to the chief with real respect. "Chief Cole, thank you for being here. I know this must be very hard." Chief Cole stands straight, his police training showing. "Your Honor, I appreciate you letting me be here." Derek is panicking now. His lawyer looks confused. Everyone is on the edge of their seats. "What's happening?" Judge Caprio continues. "Chief, your son seems to think that your job will protect him from consequences. He's said many times that because you run the police in this city, he can't get in trouble. I'd like to give you a chance to talk about that." The courtroom holds its breath. This is the moment a father has to choose between protecting his son and sticking to what he's believed in his whole life. Chief Cole takes a deep breath. His voice is steady but full of emotion. "Your Honor, my son is wrong. He has always been wrong about that. I've spent 35 years serving this city. I've arrested drug dealers, murderers, and corrupt officials. I've risked my life to protect innocent people and uphold the law. And not once, not one single time, have I ever believed that my badge gave me or my family the right to break those same laws." Derek tries to speak. "Dad, The chief holds up his hand, and that gesture makes his son immediately quiet. "Derek, be quiet. You've said enough." He turns back to Judge Caprio. "Your Honor, I watched the video the day after it happened. I saw what my son did to Mr. Martinez. I read the hospital reports. I know exactly what happened. And I'm here today not as Police Chief Cole, but as Thomas Cole, a father who failed to teach his son the most important lessons: respect, humility, and being responsible." The chief's voice cracks a little. "I thought I taught him right from wrong. I thought I showed him what it means to serve others, protect people who need help, and treat everyone with dignity no matter who they are, but somewhere along the way I failed. And that failure," he points toward his son, "that failure is standing right here." Derek's face crumbles. For the first time, tears fill his eyes. "Dad, please." Chief Cole turns to his son, and what he says next will be remembered in Providence legal history forever. "Derek, I love you. You're my son, and that will never change. But love doesn't mean protecting you from consequences. Love means holding you responsible so you can become the man you're supposed to be." He looks back at Judge Caprio. "Your Honor, I'm here to tell you that whatever punishment you think is right, you have my full support. My son beat up a decorated veteran. He showed no remorse. He disrespected this court, and he disrespected everything I've spent my life standing for. He deserves to face the full power of the law, and I will not interfere. In fact, if I could, I would ask you to be even tougher than you normally would be, because he needs to learn this lesson now before he hurts someone else." The courtroom erupts in whispers. This has never happened before, a police chief in open court asking a judge to punish his own son hard. Derek is openly crying now. "Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't mean..." Chief Cole's voice becomes firm. "Derek, do you know what I did yesterday? I visited Mr. Martinez at his home. I apologized to him for you, even though I know that doesn't fix what you did. I looked him in the eye and told him that your actions don't represent what this police department or this family believes in. And do you know what he said to me?" Derek shakes his head, tears streaming down his face. He said, "Chief, your son needs help, not protection. Help. And he's right. You don't need me to bail you out. You need to face what you've done and change." Judge Caprio has been listening to all this with deep emotion on his face. Now he speaks, and his voice carries the wisdom of 30 years as a judge. "Chief Cole," Judge Caprio says, "I want to thank you for your courage today. What you've done, standing here and putting justice above your natural instinct to protect your child, that takes more strength than most people will ever understand. He looks at Derek. Mr. Cole, do you understand what just happened here? Your father, a man who could have used his power to make this go away, instead chose to uphold the law. He chose to honor Mr. Martinez. He chose to honor the badge he's worn for 35 years. That is what integrity looks like. Derek can barely speak through his tears. Your Honor, I'm so sorry. I was wrong about everything. Judge Caprio nods. That's the first honest thing you've said since you walked into this courtroom. But sorry isn't enough, Mr. Cole. Actions have consequences. And guys, what Judge Caprio says next proves why millions of people around the world love him. He doesn't just punish, he transforms. He doesn't just enforce the law, he changes hearts. Subscribe right now if you believe in this kind of justice, because what comes next is a lesson in accountability, redemption, and second chances. Derek Michael Cole, Judge Caprio announces, his voice formal now, I find you guilty of beating up an elderly person. This is a serious crime made worse by your complete lack of remorse when you first came before me. He pauses, letting the weight sink in. Here is your sentence. You will spend 90 days in jail. You will complete 200 hours of community service, specifically working with elderly veterans at the VA hospital. You will go to anger management counseling for 1 year, and you will write a formal apology letter to Mr. Martinez that will be read in this courtroom, followed by a face-to-face meeting where you apologize to him in person. Derek nods, accepting each part. Yes, Your Honor. But I'm not finished, Judge Caprio continues. You will also create a video apology that will be posted on the Providence Police Department's social media, where you will explain what you did, why it was wrong, and what you're doing to make things right. Your father has agreed to this because honesty is the best cure for arrogance. Furthermore, Judge Caprio says, after you finish your sentence, you will speak to new police recruits about privilege, being responsible, and what happens when you think you're above the law. Your father will arrange this. You will share your story not to embarrass you, but to stop other young people from making the same mistakes. The sentence is tough, but has a purpose. Every part is designed not just to punish, but to change him. Chief Cole speaks up. Your Honor, I want to add something, if I may. Derek will also be moving out of my house. He's 32 years old. He's been living under my roof, under my protection, under my name. That ends today. He needs to learn to stand on his own, support himself, and understand that privilege is earned, not given. Derek looks at his father with devastation. Dad, it's time, son, the chief says, his voice breaking. It's time for you to grow up. Judge Caprio turns to Robert Martinez. Mr. Martinez, do you have anything you'd like to say? The 70-year-old veteran stands slowly, supported by his good arm. Your Honor, I don't want revenge. I just want this young man to understand that every person he meets deserves respect. Age, rank, position, none of that matters. We're all human beings trying to live our lives with dignity. If he learns that lesson, then this whole experience will have been worth it. The grace in those words silences the entire courtroom. Here is a man who was beaten up, hospitalized, and disrespected, offering forgiveness and wisdom instead of anger. Judge Caprio speaks to Derek one final time. Mr. Cole, you heard Mr. Martinez. A man you beat up is showing you more grace than you deserve. I suggest you spend your time in jail thinking about that. Think about the kind of man you want to be. Think about whether you want to continue being the person who walked into this courtroom today, or if you want to become someone your father can be proud of. Court is adjourned. The gavel comes down. As officers come to take Derek into custody, Chief Cole walks over to his son. They stand face to face for a long moment. Then the chief does something that breaks everyone's heart. He hugs his son tightly. I love you, the chief whispers loud enough for nearby people to hear. But I love you enough to let you face this. You'll get through it, and when you do, you'll be better. You'll be the man I know you can be. Derek sobs into his father's shoulder. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I know, son. Now prove it. The officers lead Derek away. Chief Cole stands there watching his son disappear through the doors, tears streaming down his face. This is what real love looks like, not protection from consequences, but support through them. Judge Caprio walks over to Chief Cole and extends his hand. The two men shake, a moment of respect between two men who've dedicated their lives to service. You did the right thing, Judge Caprio says quietly. Chief Cole nods. Doesn't make it hurt any less. No, the judge agrees, but it makes it worth it. Before people leave, Judge Caprio makes one more announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, what you saw here today is not just about one case. It's about the choice we all face when someone we love does wrong. Do we enable them, protect them, make excuses for them, or do we love them enough to hold them accountable? He looks around the courtroom. Chief Cole could have used his power to make this go away. Instead, he chose justice. He chose Mr. Martinez. He chose the values he spent his life upholding. That is courage. That is integrity. That is what real leadership looks like. The courtroom erupts in applause. People are crying. Veterans are saluting Chief Cole. Robert Martinez walks over to the chief and extends his good hand. Chief, Martinez says, your son is lucky to have a father like you. The chief shakes his hand, overcome with emotion. Mr. Martinez, I'm sorry for what he did to you. He'll learn, Martinez says, and when he does, he'll make you proud. I can see it already. 6 months later, Derek Cole walked out of jail a different man. He had lost weight, gained humility, and found purpose. His 200 hours at the VA hospital turned into volunteer work that continued long after his sentence was done. He apologized to Robert Martinez in a meeting that both men said was healing. Martinez became a mentor to Derek, teaching him about service, sacrifice, and what real strength means. Derek's video apology went viral. Over 3 million people watched it. Young people across the country saw what being responsible looks like. They saw what happens when privilege meets justice. They saw what real change requires. Chief Cole went to every one of Derek's anger management sessions, not because he had to, but because he wanted to support his son's real change. Their relationship, broken by that day in court, slowly rebuilt on honesty and mutual respect. And Derek Cole, the rude man who once said, "My dad runs this town," now works helping veterans, using his story to teach others about privilege, being responsible, and redemption. Judge Frank Caprio's decision that day didn't just deliver justice, it saved a life, healed a family, and proved that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to protect someone from the consequences they need to face. If this story moved you, if you believe in this kind of justice, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Like this video, if you honor our veterans and respect the courage it takes to choose justice over comfort. Subscribe for more incredible stories that prove compassion and being responsible can exist together. And remember Judge Caprio's words, real love isn't protecting people from consequences. It's supporting them through the consequences they need to become better.